So we're going to try this again. This time, instead of having no voiceover, we're going to have voiceover, but it's not going to be scripted. I'm just going to speak from the cuff. I'm just going to wing it, like a lot of people do in an actual brick and mortar classroom. So the topic is, how are we going to convert written lectures into multimedia presentations? I'm not talking about Snapchat and the kind of stuff that students are into, but we are talking about making you a YouTube video star. Just kidding, we're not really going to do that. Okay, well, let's seriously take a look at what's wrong with written lectures in an online learning environment. Right off the top of your head, you tell me 3 issues that you can think of that's wrong with written lectures in an online learning environment. Okay. All right. That's a good one. I think I heard you say that students might not be good readers. I think I heard you say that written lectures can be boring. And you definitely said that the lack of interaction is going to be a problem. So that was some good thinking on your part. Well, how do the audio and video presentations comply with our VIP squared criteria? We know that we need to have courses where we are visible, where we are immediately in contact with students, where we have personal relationship with students, and where we can be proactive and make sure that we don't allow problems to crop up. We want to be proactive in anticipating what challenges might become a barrier for our students. So we know there are some value to having online interactive presentations. And the thing we need to start with was scripting. Like I said before, this presentation right here is not scripted. I'm just speaking off the cuff. So I'll let you evaluate whether that's a good idea or not. The next top consideration is prepping your materials. When I first started learning how to do webcasts and screencasts, it took me a while to figure out that I needed to pull up and size all of my documents appropriately for the frame of the screencasting software. Then I would minimize everything so that they'd be handy at the bottom of my computer screen and I can just pull them up. That meant I had to prep all the materials. If I wanted to show how you fill out a form, I needed to have not only a blank copy of the form, but a form that was already pre-populated with some information so I could point out what students might encounter. So you need to think about that. How are you going to prep the materials that you're going to put in your screencast? Staging and lighting, oh my gosh. First thing I learned was don't ever have the windows behind you, because when I saw my first webcast and the sunlight was streaming through those windows and there were these big halos of golden light behind me, it was kind of difficult to see anything else that was going on in that webcam. So make sure that the light source is in front of you. You're just going to have to use your own judgment to determine whether you've got a good balance of shadow and light. You're going to need to think about what's in the background. Clearly, you want to refrain from having any kind of, beer posters or beer signs or just things that are inappropriate you don't want students to see. So what's in the background when you're using your webcam? So staging and lighting are 2 pretty important considerations as you're getting ready to do your screencasting and webcam there. Makeup and wardrobe. What do you look like to the students? The whole thing about doing these is that we're going to be visible. So how do you want to appear to the students? Again, I'll leave that up to your judgment, but I just want you to consider your skin tone, your skin coloring, your the neckline of the shirt or the blouse that you're wearing. These are things that you need to consider. Hardware. Are you familiar with the hardware? Do you know how to use your webcam? Do you know how to use your microphone? So you can Google on YouTube all types of tutorials for using your hardware. And if you still have the packaging that came with your laptop or whatever kind of device you're using, hopefully there's an instructional manual that will help you get used to your hardware as well. Software. Again, multitude of software apps and packages that you can actually purchase. So you'll need to get familiar with some of the software that we recommend, which is typically free. Right now I'm using screencast.com. I like it because we have the free version. I didn't have to pay for the more expensive version. We no longer are using Jing. We found out that there was some incompatibility with Jing and our Blackboard environment. The newest thing we found out about at a recent conference for instructional designers is called Office Mix, and this is something that you can use with PowerPoint. So if I knew how to use Office Mix, I've got a PowerPoint slide going on right now. I could be recording that in Office Mix instead of using the screencast.com. Practicing. Practicing is so important. Right now I'm giving you an example in which I have not practiced. Like I said, I'm talking off the cuff here. So just imagine how much better this presentation would be if I had taken the time to write a script, to rehearse, to make sure that I knew what I was saying, when to pull up new documents, when to integrate, when to type into the documents if I'm trying to do a tutorial to show my students how to use some type of software. So practicing something you're going to really want to consider doing before you make your actual final take of the audio-video presentation. Educating. Are you actually educating your students, or are you just spouting off whatever comes to mind? We know when we've all been in brick and mortar institutions, that happens in the classroom quite a bit. Professors are quite fond of chasing hares down into rabbit holes, and the students are left wondering, what am I supposed to be getting out of this? So that's the thing about making these screencasts. You actually have a chance to write a script, to prepare and make sure you're educating the student, and this is not a waste of time. Entertaining. We often don't think about the entertainment value, but one of the reasons that we're trying to do audio-video presentations is because we're trying to engage the student. And when you can make the student feel something, when they are emoting, either because you're tapping into that humor, you're tapping into some type of emotion that they can really connect with. If you share your tales from the field that is a real life problem you encountered as a professional and that they might encounter when they enter that professional field, that's tapping into those emotions. We don't always think of it as entertaining in terms of laughter, but it is something that taps into that emotion. So maybe we should call this one emoting rather than entertaining. And evaluating. We need to have some standardized form of saying, yes, this is an audiovisual presentation that meets the criteria where we have entertained the students, we've educated the students, we've helped them transform the way they are thinking about things, because what's the point of getting a college education if you leave thinking the same way that you did when you entered? So evaluation of all of our educational materials is one of the things that we as instructional designers are striving to accomplish through this process. Okie dokie, so that's my little spiel about audiovisual presentations. The third one yet to come is going to be when I have actually scripted and have practiced my presentation. And you'll see the difference. You'll have 3 different takes to compare. One without a voiceover, one when I'm just speaking off the cuff, and one that is a polished, scripted type of performance. All right, thanks.